think you know anything about Harry Styles.
Our communities.
Gonna talk about it again, so I told y'all so.
Our culture.
I am a Sam Smith. I will be Sam's representative.
Our story.
It's also not a requirement for you to agree our opinions.
This is the Culture Report.
Right, this week on the Culture Report, Angela. Okay, I'm done. Angela Bassett is finally getting an Oscar, but now people are questioning the motive behind it. Plus, 3 school districts in New Jersey are getting sued over policies that allow them to out queer students to their parents. We're discussing how much parents really need to know. But first, after 5 people died during a trip to explore the Titanic wreckage, people are questioning why media and the public didn't seem nearly as interested in the migrant ship that capsized, presumably killing hundreds of people. Welcome to this week's Culture Report. This is the last week of Pride Month, and I most definitely made the most of it this week. I went to Pride, went out, had with a couple friends, went to some events. It was really lovely. I had a great time, so if I look tired this week, that's why. We're not going to talk about it. Y'all didn't notice that.
Was it pretty safe and fun when you were at Pride?
It was. I had only ever been to Pride in Texas, and so I thought the protests and the picket line and all that stuff was typical. I didn't see a single, and LA, I went to LA, but I didn't see a single sign, a single person.
That's good.
Apparently somebody out there threw a rock at somebody doing some trifling, but for the most part, nothing. It was lovely. Everyone was just having a good time. I saw Big Frida, the Queen Diva. It was great. I saw Selena from Drag Race perform. I wasn't the biggest fan, but I am now.
That's good.
It was such a good time.
I'm glad you went.
Do anything, Laura? Yeah.
Oh, I did go to my annual Pride party. It was so much fun. And they went all out, and it's just great to celebrate, you guys. It's great.
Yeah.
Love it.
And I got a puppy, so I didn't do anything.
She's a dog mom now.
So I'm tired too, so.
Okay, so we're all tired, more of the story.
Yes.
Okay, something that people aren't tired of, though, is this whole Titanic explorer situation thing. People's eyes have been all over that.
Yeah, let's get into it. So if you watched the news last week or scrolled on social media, you probably heard about the Titan Submersible. 5 men boarded the ship in hopes of getting a glimpse of the Titanic and unfortunately died as a result. The news was everywhere and sadly overshadowed another tragic event that happened days before. At least 80 migrants are dead and hundreds are still missing after a boat carrying more than 700 people capsized and sank in the Mediterranean Sea. New reports say the Greek Coast Guard could have done more to rescue the migrants before the ship capsized. Millions of dollars were spent on searching for the Titan. So, raise of hands, who was invested in the Titanic submarine drama?
I didn't even want to, but I got sucked into it.
I know.
It's unfortunate. I'm not going to lie, I didn't really know much about the migrant stuff myself, so I'm guilty just as much as everyone else.
But you're talking about billionaires, so clearly, something about that is attracting people's attention, and obviously it's new. I think the frequency with things happening with migrants has just checked us out of following through with those headlines and actually clicking on the story, but
there's 700 people. That's the awful part about it. And there's 5 people aboard the Titan.
It's unfortunate for all of them, right?
It is very unfortunate.
It is, and I know a lot of people were saying they shouldn't have been trying to enter the country illegally, so they had to come in. And I'm like, is that what we're doing? People are just in search of a better life. Maybe people, just seeking a better life. And I was like, that didn't mean they deserve to die. And same for the billionaires. People
were saying the same about them too.
People are laughing about it, saying well, you paid $250 to get into a tin can with a
I would never do that. Yeah.
Yes, most of us would never do that. However, I'm like, that doesn't mean they deserve to die. Yeah. Probably wasn't the best decision. Clearly wasn't.
If you were on social media, you probably saw a lot of the Titanic submarine stuff. You saw the memes and everything. It's just how we value lives and the
international efforts to rescue them too, though. It was just black and white. It seems there's so many people looking and keeping up minute by minute, knowing that the oxygen levels were gonna go down. It just really amazed me. And then the other one barely got any coverage. It seemed
and being a part of the media, we were covering it. We've covered both, but we typically cover, as far as most news stations, we cover what people are interested in. So, if you see lack of media coverage about, the boat that capsized, it's probably because the viewers aren't showing interest in that.
There's no click in there.
Exactly. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we want to show you what, what you want to see. And if you don't really care about the migrants, like, I mean, I made sure that I put it in there. But, I mean, that's why you haven't seen much media coverage about it.
Unfortunate, but
a lot
I think
about
we have to do better too.
Yeah.
I think that's another thing that we really have to do.
Which is why I'm so excited to have this platform, the Culture Report, because we can bring stories to you guys that you guys might not know about, but are still really, really important. So, happy to have this platform. All right, so how much power should schools have over their students? And just how much should they be allowed to tell parents? Those are questions being asked in New Jersey as the state's attorney general sues 3 school districts to stop them from outing trans students. Matt Platkin says, in part, "We're fighting back against policies that will endanger our students' health and safety. Supporters of the policies say they protect parental rights and question if parents don't know what's going on, how are they supposed to help their kids navigate it?" So
That's a tough one, Jamal. That's a tough one. I'm a parent.
yes,
And my daughter did come out to me, and just thinking about how long she probably was holding that information before letting me know, I'm sure school was a safe spot for her. And for somebody to come and tell me and out her, I mean, how do the teachers know that it's safe at home for her to come and say that to me?
Exactly.
They don't.
and for some of the people that support this policy that think, oh, parents should absolutely know, you should know everything that's going on. I'm like, well, they're like, why would we not want to tell parents that? I was like, well, you don't know if it's a safe environment. You don't know if their family is like super religious or abusive, or you don't know. So maybe school is their safe place. And they're like, okay, I can finally like let my hair down, be myself for a moment. And like, so would you want to know? Like you said, you have a kid. So like, would you want her teacher to have told you that?
If it's not putting her life in danger, I just don't see the reason behind it. And it's also, I think, putting in jeopardy the relationship between a teacher and the student. Well, you know, that trust can be broken, and they're being forced to tell parents, and, you know, because they risk losing their jobs too if they don't. But I mean, where does that trust then fall? You know?
I don't think the policy is ridiculous from what I was reading. So basically, if a student goes as she, her, and they call the parent, and the parent's like, or they tell the parent like, they are going by she, her now, and the parent's like, no, they don't. The teacher's going to go back and say he, him. You know, like that's harmful. It's like not identifying with what they identify with. Like that's very harmful to misgender or the pronouns or whatever. That is harmful. And like the fact that the teacher has that role, has to do that is.
And it can also like impact their mental health, because I know
Exactly.
like students that like if they don't have a safe space, like what are they supposed to do? Like teachers, students are misgendering them, then they have to go home and deal with that. So I do think it's important. I mean, if it was like you said, if they were at risk of harming themselves or others, then of course. If you're talking about grades, of course. But something like that, I feel like
It's an attack on the LGBTQ plus community, basically. You're not gonna like, if you see Susie over there with her boyfriend, are you gonna go call her parent and tell them? Like it's you know?
Yeah.
I feel like teachers aren't calling parents over if they see them with the boyfriend, if they see their student kissing someone. Like, no, this is just an attack, I feel like, so.
I hope they keep those schools safe, man. It's really scary to think about. But there is one actor who experienced this firsthand, or the consequences of being outed. It was Mexican singer and actor Christian Chavez, best known for his role in the telenovela Rebelde and the band spin-off group RBD. In 2005, the singer married his partner in secret. About 2 years later, he was forced to come out after learning about a blackmail plot to leak private wedding photos. The news took over the headlines, and Christian said that on the outside, everyone seemed to take it well, but when it came to work, all the doors were shut. But now, 15 years later, RBD is on a comeback tour, and he is filling stadiums. The band is making a stop at Denver's Ball Arena September 10th. It just goes to show you guys, imagine having to hide that for so long. I mean, and I know it was a different time, and, you know, many things have changed, but again, we're still in an uphill battle with all these, you know, LGBTQ people's rights, and it's scary to see. He suffered through a lot of mental health issues. He survived a suicide attempt, and, you know, now he's using his platform to, you know, advocate for HIV and suicide prevention awareness, and he's also fighting for LGBTQ rights, but I mean, it's just scary to see that, to see him, you know, now come out and talk about it. I can't imagine going through it for so many years.
it's so interesting to see like what happened back then versus what's happening now, because I know like one of my favorite bands, Greta Van Fleet, their lead singer just came out as queer, saying that they've been in a same-sex relationship for 8 years, and I've seen nothing but love, and like people are saying that they're so proud of him. So it's just really interesting to see. Like, plus, I mean, it's different demographic, different fan bases. I mean, we're like younger. He has a younger audience, like rock fans. I mean, rock, they're really used to like, you know, pushing the boundaries, doing things that are different. So it's interesting to see.
It just shows you like the Latino machismo still that was there.
That too.
Yeah, it's disheartening. I don't know, when I'm so happy like he survived that, you know, and he was actually able to pull through, but I don't know, I don't like seeing that people are still struggling with that, I'm sure, to this day, and with all this anti-LGBTQ stuff going on, doesn't make it easier for them to come out, and you know, that shows you also the danger of outing people. You should be so careful.
It just took him for a long time to come out, which is sad. I'm glad that he feels more comfortable now, but just that he didn't back then, you know. Same with like Ricky Martin, we were talking about earlier. There's always assumptions, but like would the same have happened to him? Would he have been blacklisted for so many years if he would have came out earlier in his career? I don't know, you know.
When it comes to bigger artists, I guess there's a trend that you see, because like, of course they come out later on, even like with like Josh from Greta Van Fleet. It's like they go into their career hiding it, and then like when they feel comfortable enough, like they feel like they've garnered a fan base, they feel financially secure, then they come out. But it'd be interesting to see people enter the industry as queer artists and make it as big. Because even with Lil Nas X, I think he's probably one of the biggest queer artists out right now. He had to wait a year or two, then come out. I think maybe Sam Smith, we knew.
No, Sam Smith we knew from the beginning.
No, not as, because I remember they would always say like, oh, I would tone myself down, or like, or maybe they. Yeah, excuse me for misgendering. So they said initially, early on, like they would wear suits, they would be very masculine. That's why we're seeing like this huge like 180 now that they're wearing like corsets and like makeup and the heels.
They're more genuine.
Right.
I mean, it's exciting to see them now performing as their more genuine self, and just, I don't know, I think it gives you a whole different feel of these artists. For sure. But I love it, so I'm excited to see him here, hopefully in Denver.
Yes, of course. All right, so Delaware State Senator Sarah McBride is looking to make history in this year's election. McBride is already the first openly transgender state senator elected in the U.S., but now she's hoping to be the first transgender member of Congress. In a campaign video, McBride said, quote, "My commitment is to the people of Delaware who aren't seen." She continued by saying everyone deserves a member of Congress who sees and respects them.
All right, and Metropolitan State University of Denver is offering free gender-affirming voice therapy for people who identify as non-binary or transgender. It allows for graduate clinicians who are in the process of receiving their degree in speech pathology to work on their skills, as well as help those who want to receive the service but may not be able to afford it. The clinic also has a bilingual concentration in both English and Spanish.
Love that. And Denver is recognizing a piece of the city's Chicano history. The City Council voted to make La Raza Park Denver's third historic cultural district. The designation is meant to honor the cultural history of a neighborhood and preserve its character. The park was originally named Columbus Park in 1931 and became a staple for Colorado's Chicano movement in the 70s and 80s. Although the park has always been known as La Raza to Denver's Chicano community, the city did not officially recognize the name until 2020.
A group in Colorado is claiming slave labor is alive and well all over the state. Workers' rights group Towards Justice filed a lawsuit for 2 prisoners last year, claiming the system punished them for refusing kitchen duty while sick. They believe that's a violation of Colorado's Constitution, which voters changed 5 years ago to include a ban on all forms of slavery. Yes, that also includes punishment for a crime. Our 9 Wants to Know team found that prisons have written up people hundreds of times for failing to report to work. Consequences include losing good time or losing privileges like access to electronics, things that the judge says don't count as involuntary servitude. So, Alexia?
Yes.
Do you think that this counts as slavery?
I do not. I think it's an extreme approach to compare it to slavery. I mean, it's just, slavery was, awful.
Right.
Making them work is not that bad. not going to work. I mean,
No, you
I
still
know
should have
should
the
agree.
option. If you're incarcerated, you still should have the option to decide whether you want to work or not. I think it's already punishment that you're in prison. I mean, and then, yeah, maybe you decide whether or not you want those privileges, whether they, give you more good time. I think that's the term that they use to, like, I'm sure it means like being outside maybe more.
I think
things
like
that.
using your electronics
Or
and
things like
stuff,
that, yeah. So, I mean, that should be your option. I don't think you should be forced. I think that's where I have the problem with it.
Jamal, how do you feel? We need to know how you feel.
I don't know. I mean, goodness gracious, it's hard. It's hard. I do believe, like, of course, everyone deserves rights and things like that, and you deserve like control over, full autonomy of your own body, what you do. But I mean, those are like stripped away from you a bit or restricted when you go to prison. So, I think not allowing them to go outside, not allowing electronics, that's fine. I'm trying to think about what other punishments would be in place. 'Cause I do think that is a punishment. Like, oh, I'm taking away your electronics. You can't go outside today. That is punishment. So, like, what's more severe? Like, what would you consider actual, like
If there's any solitary confinement or anything along those lines, I think that would be awful to do so. But I just don't.
But at the end of the day, they are getting paid to work. I mean, it is
like
very
80
minimum.
cents a day or
I mean,
something.
they're getting paid. I mean, they're provided everything else. So, I mean, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to, I don't know.
I know some people enjoy, because I know some people who have been in jail and they enjoyed those things, like, working in the kitchen or going out.
It keeps you busy.
It keeps you busy. It gives you something to do. It gives you a chance to socialize with people. But if people don't want to do that, I can't tell you I know what the punishment should be. But if you want to just sit in your cell and just.
But I don't
turn
think
that
work is
way,
a
I think that's
punishment.
fine.
Is it really that big of a punishment? I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean,
I haven't been to prison, Alexia. But
me either.
It should
so
be
I
your
don't
choice,
know.
though. I don't think they should
Yeah.
force it upon you. But that's my stance on it.
Okay.
I respect that.
All right, and Marvel star Tenoch Huerta will not be starring in the upcoming Netflix film Fiesta en la Madriguera, following sexual assault allegations leveled against him last week by musician Maria Elena Rios. Tenoch pulled out because he didn't want the rest of the people involved in the film to be impacted by the allegations. In a tweet, Rios called Tenoch a sexual predator, and when asked by a Twitter user if he had sexually assaulted her, she seemingly confirmed the claim and said there were other victims as well. Oh, guys,
I know
was
Laura
tough.
has a lot to say.
Do you?
I don't think that was the right move because it's almost like admitting guilt. In my eyes, I think you're innocent until proven guilty. Or if he is admitting to guilt, maybe he just doesn't want to go through the embarrassment of somebody dropping him.
Oh, no, I don't think that's right. I mean, I don't know if he did it or not, but I don't think it's an admission of guilt. I think, if anything, he's just. I appreciate that because now they can move forward with the movie, and he's protecting all these jobs. I'm sure there's hundreds and thousands of jobs that like people are relying on.
But if you didn't do anything, why do you have to drop?
Because until they do know if he's innocent or guilty, like there's going to be so much drama surrounding the movie.
People are
and
not
they
going to
can't
go
move
watch
forward.
him. They're going to be like, oh, he's a sexual predator. I'm not going to watch that guy in a movie.
Like they did with Ezra Miller
Exactly.
and The Flash.
During the let's bring up Ezra Miller again. Like The Flash just came out the last 2 weeks. It did not so great the first weekend, and it dropped 70% the second weekend. No one wanted to see it because of all the stuff he's done or they've done. So.
And like, who knows how long this is going to persist? What if like the movie comes out and it's still ongoing, and then it just has like this cloud of like drama and negativity around it, and people are like, oh, I'm not going to support that movie just because he's in it. They don't know if he's guilty or not, but just because he's in it, it's not going to perform well. And that.
So it's the right move then what happened with Jonathan Majors?
Jonathan Majors hasn't been dropped. I mean, he hasn't been dropped by like Marvel yet, so.
So they should keep him?
Should they keep him?
I
didn't
don't know when
say
they're going to start
that.
filming. I don't know when it starts
that.
filming, but I know his trial starts August 4th, so we'll see. Like,
I think they should be taking notes from DC right now. I think that's what my theory is, if I put my tinfoil hat on.
that's true.
I think they sat back and were like, let's see what happens with The Flash, and then we will make a decision.
And based off what happened on Flash, they're going to drop him sooner or later.
We'll see.
We'll see.
If they drop him, we'll replay that clip of Alexia when we talk about it.
I'll be following that one because I do want to see what happens with Tenoch. I mean, it's unfortunate everything that's happening. I really hope they're not true, but if they are, he should face
You should
those
just quit acting at that point.
But still, he's still innocent until proven guilty.
Exactly.
I
Okay.
agree. All right. Angela Bassett is finally getting an Oscar. The Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences says she'll receive the honorary award this November. Its Board of Governors says it's for her exceptional lifetime contributions to the TV and film industry. Bassett has 2 nominations to her name for Best Actress and Best Supporting Actress, but no statuettes until now. Very iconic, very well-deserved. However, comma.
Timing is awful. The timing is just
It's horrible. I mean,
awful.
do you think it's a reaction to
Absolutely.
this year's? Oh.
I didn't need you to finish the sentence. Let's just say absolutely. After everything that happened at this last year's Oscars, yeah. After everyone was like, she should have won, compared to Jamie Lee Curtis.
I mean, I was reading up on the Jamie Lee Curtis win, which, I mean, congratulations to her. You know, it's
Yes,
still a win.
we love,
I
love
do.
Jamie Lee in this household.
Yeah,
we
and
do.
I think they gave her that win. It was more like a legacy to, you know, her
because
work.
she's been doing it for, she's
Yeah.
been acting for a long time, but so has Angela.
There we
But
go.
that timing was awful. That shouldn't have gone to her during that time. But again, Hollywood, I think, you know, has aging issues, you know, so people, I think that was the only opportunity to give it to her. I would have been happier if this would have been turned around, if Jamie Lee Curtis would have gotten the honorary one and then Bassett, because she did a great job with that movie, and so she should have gotten it for the Oscars that time.
I feel like they even admitted it themselves. They're like, oh, this is because like a lifetime achievement, all of her contributions to the industry. I'm like, y'all know too. You know. So thank you. I appreciate it. However,
Yeah.
I mean, she should have had that months ago, but I'm not going to turn it away. We're going to take
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I'm glad they did recognize her, but I just think it was like an afterthought, it almost seemed like.
They got all the backlash and they said, oh, we got to do something. We have to do something. So they did something.
Yeah,
But, you know, it's good news.
yeah.
It is great news.
I'm excited to see her reaction, though.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure she's going to be very gracious when accepting this award, but it's still, I don't know.
We'll see. All right. Well, speaking of good news, let's hop into our good news of the week. So the late Chadwick Boseman will receive a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame next year. He is best known for his character T'Challa in Black Panther and his leading roles such as Jackie Robinson in 42. Boseman died back in 2020 after his fight with colon cancer. 31 other entertainers will also receive a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame next year, including Michelle Yeoh, Kerry Washington, and Mario Lopez.
Vice President Kamala Harris made a surprise visit to New York City's historic Stonewall Inn to commemorate the LGBTQ Pride Month. Harris's appearance marked the first time that a sitting vice president has visited the site of the 1969 uprising that is credited as a turning point in the modern gay rights movement.
Right, and Lizzo is teaming up with her alma mater, University of Houston, creating a new scholarship for Black students studying at the Moore School of Music. The Sasha B. Fluten Music Scholarship will offer $50,000 to students. Lizzo says just a couple of years ago, she was a young Black flute player who needed a scholarship and someone to believe in her. So now she gets to pay it forward.
I love that. Oh, I love when they use their platforms and their resources to help more people.
Lizzo just does not flop. She never fails to
does.
make me proud. Like,
I think she's always given us something. She's always given us either body confidence, she's given us, you know, everything that we need.
money. We love a good paycheck. And this was for like, she was doing like these days of Juneteenth, like just, you know, celebrating in different ways. So this was what she did on the last day to celebrate. And I'm sure so many students will benefit from that. And who knows, maybe she'll like launch somebody else's music career. So that'll be iconic. I'm waiting for the day. Also, a little bit of good news. Oh gosh, I wish I would have got the video, but we do. We have it right here. Lovely. Lizzo got shouted out by Beyonce. And her world tour.
Beyonce.
Anytime I can bring up Beyonce, she got so emotional, and she was like, when I listened to it, like, you know, I was thinking about little me, like young me, like sitting in my room crying to Destiny's Child because I was getting bullied. So the fact that she's here full circle.
It was a good video. I've seen it. And Lizzo, like, so emotional in the video. It's
I know.
so cute.
It's so beautiful. We love it. We love it. We love it. We love it. Okay, we're going to end this off on a good note before we cry. All right. All right. Thank you so much for joining this week's Culture Report. We'll be back to continue the conversation next Thursday right here on our free 9 News Plus app and 9news.com.